Hello, fourth grade. We are at a very exciting part in the story. We're about to start chapter 33 of the Aurora County All-Stars. And chapter 32 ended with a lot of excitement. This is the part in the story where we feel that rising action, building, and we are right at or approaching the climax. So we will see what happens in chapter 33. Just to review, yesterday, it's a really good game. They're in the middle of the baseball game against the Redbugs, and the All-Stars are hanging on. House's arm is hanging on. There's been lots of hits, lots of outs. There's 2 outs right now for the All-Stars, and chapter 32 ended with this line. And then Klebo strutted to the plate. So Klebo's up to bat. He's the last. If he gets an out, then this is the last batter for the All-Stars, and if he hits it, then they can continue with this inning. So here we go. Chapter 33 starts with a quote by Walt Whitman. "I am not what you supposed, but far different." Okay, here we go. Klebo scraped his shoe on home plate like a horse pawing in place. He hit the dust from his feet with his bat. He spit. He swung the bat across the plate 3 times. "I'm ready," he announced to Mikey McBrayer. "Give me your best shot." "No outs," tweeted Finesse. "Let's get a hit. Pretty please." "Can it, Francis? I'm trying to concentrate," growled Klebo. Mikey McBrayer gazed over the top of his glove and nodded his head in agreement with his catcher. He narrowed his eyes and reared back on his right leg, lifted his left, pulled back his right arm, and flung a curve at Klebo that was high and outside. "Hey, batter, swing!" screamed the Redbug outfield, and Klebo swung. "Swing and a miss, strike 1, boomed Dr. Dan. And then, swing and a miss, strike 2. Klebo stepped out of the batter's box and spit on his hands. He rubbed them together, stepped back in, and nodded to Mickey McBrayer. "Take it easy, Klebe," yelled House. "Just meet the ball." Mikey McBrayer and Klebo eyed each other. Mikey hiked up his pants, chucked the ball into his glove a few times, rolled his shoulders, spit, and he was ready. He checked in with his catcher, nodded, and threw a fastball straight across the plate. Klebo clobbered the ball. It went up and up and up, and Klebo ran and ran and ran. The crowd was on its feet screaming. Klebo slid into first base. "He's out!" yelled Dr. Dan. And when the dust cleared, everyone could see Redbug right fielder Curtis Ragsdale standing on tiptoe at the edge of the Methodist cemetery, his back plastered against Marie Kilgore's tall obelisk of a gravestone. His arms stretched to the heavens, holding Klebo's ball in the tip of his mitt. Klebo leaped to his feet in disbelief. "It was a homer! It was a homer!" The Redbug fans screamed their delight. Even the All-Star fans had to holler their congratulations. It was a beautiful catch. "3 outs, that's the inning," called Dr. Dan, breathless himself with the excitement of it all. "Top of the 9th, Finesse sobbed into her microphone. She had lost all sense of decorum. House groaned. No way was he going to be able to go back out there yet. "Great hit, Klebo," the All-Stars cried as Klebo ran across the field toward the bench. "That's my boy," hollered Pete Wilson as Klebo passed his family's picnic blanket. Mary Wilson was in the green room. Pete stood up and clapped for his son. Klebo stopped and stared at his father. Streaks of dust ran in little rivers down his face, where his tears carried them. "You heard me," said his father. "Nobody can take that hit away from you, son." Klebo sniffed. He wiped his nose with the back of his hand. "Now hold your head up," ordered his father. "Go to work." Redbug fans cheered for Curtis. All-Star fans mobbed Klebo. House and Finesse exchanged a look that told Finesse all she needed to know about House's arm. She took matters into her own hands. "S'il vous plaît," called Finesse, as if she'd had a sudden inspiration. I have forgotten my most important number. It is coming to me as we speak." She twirled up the stage steps, plucked the microphone out of its stand, and began to sing Beautiful Dreamer a cappella. "This is completely unscheduled," said Melba Jane. The All-Stars understood what Finesse was doing. "Is it time, Klebo?" asked Boone. "It's time," said Klebo, easily distracted, completely recovered, and totally changed. He gestured to the All-Stars. "All right, it's time." And while Doc McCree iced House's arm, the rest of the ball players rushed to the stage just as Finesse finished her song. "But you don't come on until the end of the game," Finesse said. "We got us a plan, too," Klebo said. And to the crowd he shouted, "We got tights." From their pockets, the Aurora County All-Stars pulled their flowered tights. They dangled them from their fingertips like streamers, and then pulled them onto their heads and wore them like stocking caps under their baseball caps, which made their eyebrows bunch above their eyes like woolly worms. They laughed themselves silly while the crowd roared its approval, and House's elbow rested. "Let me see it," said Doc McCree. He wrapped the elbow in a towel and began patting it dry. "We've been rehearsing our own number," said Klebo from the stage. He had changed into a pair of crisply pressed blue jeans. "I give up," said Melba Jane. She tossed her clipboard onto the stage. "Klebo Wilson." Mary Wilson crossed her arms from where she stood next to a platter of fried chicken on her picnic blanket. Klebo crossed his arms and stared defiantly at the Queen Pooh-Bah of the Mamas. "Bravo! Bravo!" thundered Dr. Dan from behind home plate. "An innovation in the midst of our conglomeration." "Bravo!" called Finesse from her microphone. Mary Wilson smiled a smile as wide as the Mississippi River as she considered her good fortune. Her boy was on stage in a starring role, and his pants looked great. House exchanged a look with his father and shrugged. "I don't know what they're doing." "Hit it!" yelled Klebo. The Harmony Coronet Band struck up their rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and the boys sang it at the top of their lungs, swaying back and forth. They held up peanuts, they held up Cracker Jacks. Then, in a moment of real spontaneity, Klebo shouted, "This one's for the mamas!" Following his lead, the boys danced the second verse. Their arms ballooned like ballerinas. They stood on their toes, they twirled, they swung at 3 strikes, you're out, and they ran into one another until they had a 7-boy pile-up on their hands and so much laughter they couldn't breathe. House shook his head. He might have laughed if his arm didn't feel as if it were coming off at the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. "That's my boy!" screamed Mary Wilson. The mamas were on their feet, hugging one another, peering at Dr. Dan to see if he was taking notes. Doc McCree laughed so hard he got carried away unwrapping House's arm. "Ow! Sorry." The boys received a rollicking standing ovation. The Redbugs laughed and pointed. Finesse clapped and bowed deeply in the boys' direction. The boys bowed back. The ovation rang in House's ears as he watched Doc McCree finish with his arm. He winced as the last stretch was finished. "We're still gonna beat you, Redbugs," shouted Klebo. "You just try," yelled Redbug catcher Jerry Brunner. And the 2 teams were back to their benches, collecting their gloves, balls, bats, and resolve. Leonard Jackson tugged on the brim of House's ball cap. He handed him his sunglasses. "I know it hurts." House shook his head. "It's not bad." He shoved on his sunglasses. It was bad. Even with the little time Klebo had bought them, he wouldn't last the inning. There was no way he could hold the Redbugs to no runs in the 9th inning. His arm was done. It was dead as a doornail. he told no one. So that's the end of chapter 33. Fourth grade, I have to say, that chapter 33, to me, is maybe one of the most special chapters in the book. This whole time, House has been talking about the Symphony True, about how they have to have the pageant and the ball game. It really made House unpopular with Klebo and with the ball players. And just reading this chapter and picturing them all up on stage with the boys wearing tights on their head, singing and dancing and twirling like ballerinas, and also playing a baseball game. And the reason they went up on stage and did their whole song and dance was to try to give House more time to heal his elbow so that he can continue the game. Finesse is happy, the mamas are happy, the boys are playing, they're dancing, they're singing, everything's happening. This chapter, to me, really shows us the Symphony True. The idea of coming together of all of the pieces, the difficult parts, all the planning, and the total coming together in this chapter of everyone on the All-Stars team and in the entire Aurora County community. To me, that's what House has been talking about. That's what the song his mom sings to him is talking about. This idea of making it work, of including everyone and doing it and pulling it off. And they're pulling it off. Now, we will see in chapter 34, what is House going to do? Doesn't sound like he can pitch. He hasn't told anyone that. Is he going to try anyway? We will see in the next chapter. Okay, fourth grade, we'll tune in next time for chapter 34 of the Aurora County All-Stars. I'll see you later. Bye.